G'day guys, Roo here. Well listen, what's the most bizarre or intriguing game that you can ever remember going to? Well, I'm going to tell you about mine. It was back in 1996. Join me for another episode of Roo Remembers. Today I thought I'd wind the clock back to 1996. That was our second season. And obviously everyone remembers 95, but 96 was a bizarre old season. So before the season even started, Super League was supposed to have kicked off and they were preparing to have the two competitions in 96, but there was a court ruling that blocked Super League from happening. So it looked like the season was going to proceed with just the ARL teams, and that's what happened in the first round. So all the Super League teams sat out the first round of the 1996 Optus Cup, and then after that all the Super League teams agreed to rejoin the ARL, and they played a united comp in 1996 under the Optus Cup. It was a season that I remember fondly because I got my first ever Warriors jersey. It was much like this one here. Wasn't this one, I wouldn't fit into the one I had back in 96. But one of my standout memories from that season was a very strange and bizarre game that I attended in round 15 against the Gold Coast Chargers. Don't know if you remember the Gold Coast Chargers, but they were I think the third incarnation of the Gold Coast after the Giants and the Seagulls. And I think they started off the season as the Gold Coast Gladiators, but they reformed into the Chargers. And I remember begging my dad to go to this game because it would be the second time that I would have seen the Warriors live. And he goes, all right, you can go if you can find tickets. So back in those days, there was no internet, really. Well, there was internet, but it wasn't at the level that it was now, and you couldn't just go online and get tickets. So I was calling around, and Ticketek didn't sell the tickets to the Chargers game, and Ticketmaster, and I called around everywhere, and nobody sold tickets to the Chargers game that was to be played at Carrara Stadium. So I called around, and eventually I had to phone the Chargers Leagues Club, and they were able to get us tickets, which was bizarre. Anyway, we turned up to Carrara Stadium and parked in the field next door to it, and I've got to say, Carrara was one of the worst places to watch football. You were a country mile away from the action. You had to sort of stand around the fence. There was limited grandstand, and the view of the field was not that good at all. Carrara is, where the Suns now play in the AFL, and it's always intended to be an AFL ground. They played a few rugby league matches there. The Broncos and the Gold Coast Seagulls played there in '94. But obviously the Chargers had to play there because they had demolished the old Seagulls Stadium there at Tweed Heads. So that was to be the new ground. We got there, it was a freezing cold night. Even for Southeast Queensland, it was a very cold night. And me and my dad and my mate were sitting there watching the game, and it turned out to be a 28-14 win to the Auckland Warriors over the Gold Coast Chargers. And I can remember Captain Charger in his spandex, one of the great mascots of the game, running around the sideline striking all his poses as he did. So Warriors scored 5 tries that night. Our good mate, Warrior number 30, Marc Ellis, got over the line. Interestingly for the Chargers, Lee Oudenryn was playing for them, and he got a try against us. The Chargers got out to a fairly early lead, but we all were always in control of that game. And I remember Marc Ellis came off the bench. Marc Ellis, with his flowing locks, he scored a runaway try. Steve Kearney, Brian Hanare and Anthony Swan also got over the line for us that night. And I remember I was a bit of a card collector back in the day, and I'd always try and get autographs. And I brought my Auckland Warriors cards from 1996 and tried to get some of the players to sign, but they didn't really come over, and I was a bit dejected. And I turned around, and Dad goes, "Did you know Greg Alexander was standing behind you that whole time?" I turned around, and there he was, and he walked off. I said, "Yeah, geez, thanks for telling me, Dad." Anyway, it was a good night. My second ever Warriors game. Really enjoyed it, a good result. Even if it was a bit cold and a bit far away from the action. But yeah, part of our history, and a game that we played against a defunct club. But yeah, really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts, memories of the 1996 season? Share them below. So have you guys ever been to a game against one of the defunct clubs? Maybe in the Super League year you saw the Warriors play the Adelaide Rams or the Hunter Mariners or the Western Reds. I personally went and saw the Crushers a number of times, being based in Brisbane. As I said, I've seen the Chargers. So what are some interesting games that you've been to in our history? And you know, it's something that we should remember because we'll probably never see some of these clubs again. Thanks for joining me this morning on my walk. Don't forget to always share your thoughts and comments on the topic. What do you remember about 1996? And you know, just share your general thoughts about the Warriors and our history, because that's what this is all about. Thanks guys, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.